Hello and welcome back to Pixel Perfect. My name is Vakata, and normally I say welcome back to Satisfactory, but honestly, you already know this is Satisfactory. And I feel like maybe we should have a title up there saying Pixel Perfect. Something on the intro. I was thinking about it, episode 40, and we haven't done that. And I don't know why I haven't. I just never thought about it. I've done that in previous series, and I just haven't done it on this one. So, Pixel Perfect. Hopefully that was a cool logo or something going across the top. So anyway, I'm excited. I'm excited about episode 40 because today we get to start in on what I would argue is the last major gateway, even the last major milestone of the current version of Satisfactory. We're still in update 6. The game isn't finished yet. Who knows what else they're going to add. But when we look back at the various milestones throughout the game, many of them are major milestones. They're also gateways. So if we think about it, right, the first major gateway really has to be coal because it's the first time we're able to automate power, and it unlocks our ability to do so much. If we look at the field in front of us, right, all these buildings, especially these ones right here in the front, we didn't have these before we had coal. We waited until we had coal, and as soon as we did, zoop, 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 because we were able to go large scale with all of the early game tech. After that, we get, of course, to steel. Once we unlock steel, it enables several other milestones afterwards, and it gives us the ability to upgrade things like our belts and our production rates because our miners. So steel is the next big gateway. After that, we have oil because it's a 1-2 punch. It is a major influx of power, but it's also the way we get rubber and plastic, which are required for several unlocks and multiple technologies going forward. So those are, really the big gateways before this. And now we're up to aluminum. Aluminum is the last big gateway, and it's time to start putting that together. We've got everything else done, but we want to get done before then. So we have a tremendous amount of things to do. This is not going to be a small project. It's not going to be a one episode project. And I'm going to want your input on one of the key aspects for the design of this new facility because it's going to require us to do a pretty significant tech skip, but we don't have to do it. And I'm fine not doing it. So rather than being coy about it, let's actually go to the proposed job site for where I want to build this factory, talk about what our challenges are going to be, a little bit of the math behind it, and what we're going to do from a design standpoint. So I will see you guys at the job site. Here we are at the proposed area for the aluminum factory, and this area is actually pretty far south. You can see our space elevator is way over there, and it's actually closer to, ta-da, yeah, that's the power plant that we've been working on live streams. Now, by the time you see this, that actually might be complete. We're pretty close to wrapping it up. Well, no, don't know yet. We'll see this Saturday. But this area actually works out pretty well, and I want to go over why I chose this area and kind of the math behind actually doing the factory and the way we're going to do it, and the decision that we need to make, and the feedback that I want to have from you guys. So if we float down a little further here, on the edges of these power poles with the hover pack. Come on, pick it up. You can do it. There we go. So this is a pretty good wide open space, and I think that this would be good for making the factory as I'm kind of envisioning it. It's going to be pretty large, and probably we will be a little less fussy about taking down trees. We preserved our home area pretty well, but I think that some of these trees might have to go. We're going to go a little bit more industrial, but this area offers a lot of things that are good for us. So let's look at the map real quick. So I put a little maybe aluminum, a little flag down here. And we're already in range of a tower, a radar tower, so we can see kind of what it has to offer for us. Now, we'll go over the specifics in a moment here, but aluminum is going to require coal, which we will have here. And it's going to require copper, not too much, but maybe. We'll do the math. But there's copper right here, and there is copper right here. It's going to require water, which is something that we're going to go over in a moment. We have some options, and that's what I want to discuss. And of course, it's going to require bauxite. We already are pulling some bauxite in here for our temporary, and that makes us pretty close. So let's talk about the thing that we need to make a decision on, which is a thing that I want some feedback on. So we're going to get out of power range here and make a run. So I mentioned that we need water, and of course, as you can see by the map, this isn't exactly in the middle of the lake. Now there is water over here, but there is another option. Just make our way over here a little bit. See that pit right there? Can't get too close to it because it is guarded. Actually, I'm going to give myself the ability to fly without power. You can see here we have water geysers. And we do not have the technology yet to utilize this. We could get this technology if we wanted to skip ahead. It's not too far out of our reach. It would require radio-controlled units, which we are not making, though we have the materials to make it. And you know, my policy is that we do not craft anything manually to push progress, though we could set up an assembler or a manufacturer to make a few of them. My biggest kind of hesitance is that it would be skipping pretty far ahead on our tech tree. In fact, let's go to the hub real quick. And through the magic of editing, we are back at the hub. So as I was saying, we would have to jump ahead of some of our technologies. And, you know, like the hazmat suit, we don't really care about. Not exactly important, but we are trying to do things more or less in order. There are a bunch of other things to do. But we would have to leap up to advanced aluminum production just to get access to the resource well and the resource extractor. And we wouldn't do anything with the rest of this stuff until later. But if we were to want to use that geyser for water, we would have to jump ahead and do this, which means we'd have to make some radio-controlled units and set up some manufacturing for that on a temporary basis. Now, time to warp back to where we were. So if we decided that we didn't want to skip ahead on our technology, we have another option, you know, like in the interim, because later on we can come back and we can tap this water node and have it feed right up to here, because our factory literally would be right here at the top of this cliff, or maybe even, you know, starting right here. It's, you know, we'll have to see once we lay out foundations, but it wouldn't be far at all. So it'd be really easy to pipe it. But in the meantime, we do have this little lake right here, which is deep enough for some water extractors. And of course we have nearby as well. And we could always do either long-range pumping, or we could set up a factory on site that bottles the water, sends it via conveyor over to here, because it's still not too far away, unpacks the water, and then sends the empty canisters back for reprocessing. And it might be kind of cool to do that. So I'm either way on this. I think it might be kind of cool to set up that loop, but I'm also good with skipping ahead on our technology a little bit and setting up geysers here, because the resources it requires to actually make the pumps for these is something that we're already making. It's only the technology for unlocking the milestone that we are currently missing out on. So that's our proposal, and if you have opinion on it, hit the comment section. Let me know if you feel like we should skip ahead in our tech and get the extractors for the geysers, or if you think it'd be more cool to go with the loop of recycling canisters and bottled water. And you know, whatever you guys decide is good for me, and that's what we will go with. So let's go over the math real quick of how we're going to make aluminum and the recipes we're going to use. Let's switch back to... Come on, we can make it. We can make it. All right. So we're going to go over here, and I've set up a little display area, and I have worked up a little spreadsheet for making aluminum so that we can go over the math pretty cleanly, and it'll be easier to see what's going on. And as you can see, I've also pre-written out or drawn out the area for how we would split off to make a new station up there. And this was a little challenging to find a place to fit this in. As you can see, this whole area, I was trying multiple turns. I kept running into things, and then I had to be far enough back for the ramps to clear. But I think we got a good spot. I think that this will be good for us to put a station up there somewhere. And that way we can bring our bauxite in easily. And if we need to supplement anything else, like copper or even bottled water, we'll be able to do that as well. And it'll be an easy way for us to get our aluminum out without having to run it all the way down to this station through multiple belts. So let's go real quick on the recipes that we're going to use and then do some math. So there are a couple of aluminum solution recipes that we have. We have, of course, the default one. Where is it? Right here. Which takes 12 bauxite, produces 12 aluminum, and it produces silica. Oh yeah, silica is another thing that we need that we will have to bring in via train. This does not produce enough silica that we're going to need later on in the chain, so ignore this. But we're going to go with this recipe, which is 10 bauxite to 12 solution. We get more solution out of the same amount of bauxite. So that's going to be the process we're going to use. This also has an incredible output, 200 per minute in, 240 per out. This is a good math for us, and you'll see why in a minute here. So we will be producing solution out of that, which will go into another refinery. This refinery will be taking in 240, which I said the math works out really well. The other one is outputting 240, so it's a 1-for-1, super easy. This is going to eat up a bunch of water, and it's going to produce a just unbelievable amount of scrap. And this is a standard recipe, 360 scrap per minute from one machine. So 200 bauxite translates into 360 scrap per minute. It also needs a bunch of coal. We do have coal nearby. That scrap will then move forward to make the ingots. Now we have two options for ingots. We can use just a smelter, which is a 2-for-1 ratio, or we can use a foundry with the silica that I mentioned earlier, and this is a 3-to-2 ratio, so this is much better. So we will definitely be going with this. Again, we wouldn't be producing enough silica even if we used the other recipe in the refinery, so regardless of whether or not we went with it, we were still going to have to bring in silica anyway from a remote location, and we've got a place for doing that. And that's going to produce our ingots. Our ingots will then go into two separate manufacturers or assemblers. One to make our aluminum sheets that we will be needing, which requires the ingots and copper ingots. And then for casing, we have two options. We have one where it's just the smelter, which is a 3-to-2 ratio, or we have the casing, which is a 4-to-3 ratio. So this is a better ratio. Again, it'll require copper ingots, but that's fine. We're going to be making copper ingots anyway, and let me show you why that works in our advantage and why we actually want to use it. Aside from the fact that it produces more aluminum products, it also gives us an excuse to burn up water. Because if you notice back here, we have a lot of water coming out of here. And while we do use water as part of the input, you'll see that the numbers aren't the same. It's 120 out, it's 200 in. And we can get away with recycling some of the water, but it's dangerous. You can end up bringing more water in and not having the ability to export the water because of the pipes being full. So we're not going to mess with any of that. We're not risking that. We're going to use that water for something else, which will be to make the copper ingots. Let's just reuse this one right here. So we will burn up water into copper ingots, and we may have to find other places to dump the water. but as part of it, we'll be making copper ingots, which we can use towards the other manufacturing needs. So that's a pretty good loop for us. Now let's go ahead and bring up the spreadsheet real quick. All right, here we are. So this is the spreadsheet that I have set up. And we'll go real quick light. There's a lot of formulas in here, and it's going to kind of figure out everything for us. We're going to go with the strategy of probably going exactly 200 bauxite units. So 400, 600. We don't have to, but it does make math a lot easier. So at 200 bauxite, we use one refinery, produces us 240 solution. That gives us 360 scrap. And the foundries here, this is figuring out how many foundries are required to make our ingots. So that's automatic. They'll give us 4 foundries, will give us 240 ingots per minute. And then right here is our one manual thing. So every assembler we put here will up our output of aluminum sheeting, and that will automatically calculate how many assemblers we need for casings. And that way we can come up with our ratio of how much output that we want for our total output of both types. And this all maths itself. This is a 3-to-1 ratio here. So for every 3 of these assemblers, this is exactly 1 assembler. We may or may not adhere to that. I don't really know yet. It's okay if we have to underclock one, you know, so if we went with 4 here, this would be at 0.8, and it would still give us 90 casings per minute. And again, as we increase this, that increases the refineries, increases our output. As you can see, it adjusts everything. So this is going to make it all easy for us. And, we'll figure it out as we go. So what we're going to do first is investigate how much bauxite we can readily bring, because we do have our bauxite miners right here. We're only using one of them right now, but I'm going to go grab some power shards, and I'm going to run over there, check out what kind of nodes we have available to us, and see how many units of 200 that we can come up with. And we'll kind of use that as the starting gauge for how many machines we're going to have and kind of what the size of the factory is going to turn out to be. And this will also help us figure out how much silica we're going to need, because we're going to need to build production for silica that we're going to also bring to here. So I will see you guys over there. All right, I hitched a ride with the aluminum train. I didn't want to block up the station with our personal train, though I think I'm going to let it roll on because we need to go a different way from here than it's going to go. So we will call our personal train to us when we need it. But here we are at the bauxite. And you know what we should do, because we don't have a radar tower here. Ah, good. We have the material. This seems like as good a spot as any, right? Pop it down. Boy, that really makes its presence known, doesn't it? All right, so let's check out the map now. As you can see, we have resources all over the place. Sure, we have copper. Oh, copper. Okay, so like if we need supplemental copper, this is a place where we can get it. But what we're focused on here, of course, are the bauxite nodes. So we have a pure, a normal, and an impure, which is not fantastic, but that's the nature of bauxite in this game, is that it's not massively plentiful. So this is kind of as good as we're going to get. Of course, there are other places around the map that we can get it if we need it. But for now, we want to work out just how many, groups of 200 we can do. Put all my gear back on. I had an off-camera incident while trying to collect slugs on the way here. It wasn't on camera. I was not recording at the time. I was just slug hunting, and I got one-shotted by something. I don't know what it was. I think it was one of the boss chargers. All right, let's. I think we can float over here because we have power in the area. Oh, okay. You guys are just asking for. Well, I don't want to use. I was gonna say I didn't want any explosives. I didn't want to blow up the pretty trees, but about all I got on me is explosive weaponry. Where'd he go? All right. Well. Oh, there he is, right below me. Oh, okay. That guy. His bark was worse than his bite. All right. Sorry about that quick jump there. I had to take care of some business. You can see I'm still a little wounded, but I also started to place these down. Figured, well, you know, while we're off camera for a second, I'll get these dropped down, and then realized I didn't have enough encased industrial beams, so I had to call for our train. As you can see, we're already backing up the aluminum. So let's get this going real quick, like. So if we overclock this, again, we're going for groups of 200. This is a flat 600 on its own, so that's easy math. Our medium for 120. That gives us 300, so we only need 100 out of this one because it's an impure and we know they're not going to get 300 out of it. So let's go 100. There we go. Oh, need 2 of them. Oh, we had exactly enough shards on us. All right. So I will belt these together. And let's see here. That's 900. Okay, so we're going to need 2 belts. All right, that's 1,000. We can only do 780 on our Mark V. So we'll get these going. That'll make it pretty easy, right? We'll have 2 belts coming in, and the station can handle 2 belts going into it. So that's pretty simple. And then we will move on to the next task, which is that we're going to need silica. So we're going to build a brand new station and set up silica production so that we have the ability to bring everything on site before we actually start on the aluminum. Now this is going to be where we are going to produce all of our silica for the aluminum factory. And you guys might recognize this if you've been watching since very early on. We built this little area here for a very early quartz so we could do some basic researches that we needed to do, but we never actually connected it to, you know, everything proper. So as you can see, I mean, it's still set up on a bioburner. We just let it run out and brought a bunch of stuff home. So this is actually going to be turned into a proper production facility. And I haven't done the math on it yet, but if we find that we don't have enough quartz coming out of it, you'll see that just right over the way are 3 more nodes, and these are all 6 normal nodes. We'll definitely be able to get enough out of that. And what we really want to do first is get this train off of the tracks because, you know, we have the aluminum train that is using this circuit. So what we're going to do is very quickly just get a side rail. Super simple. We can find out where that ends. There we go. And so something like, you think we'll make it to right there, maybe? It's a long train. We need lots of space. Let's just make a quick rail. Let's see if that will attach. Come on. Here you go. That's all we need. Excellent. Come on, brakes, brakes, brakes. We're going downhill. Oh, the brakes are not working well. Let's just try to push forward. Come on, come on. It looks like our heavy train is going to make it pretty much to the bottom, if we like it or not. All right, let's just go all the way back. Oh boy, it barely fits. I don't know if we can get by the blocking signal. Let's see here. Can we get it? Oh, this might not be long enough. It's not gonna be long enough. All right, that's fine. we will just extend it, and we'll just not worry about re-merging it to the line, because we can just back it up manually. All right, let's see if that has divided us from the main line. It is not, but that's all right. If we do that, there we go. That isolates that segment. We don't need to worry about this blinking light because nothing's going to come through here. Just in time for the aluminum train to get through here. There you go, buddy. Enjoy your trip. All right. So we're going to make ourselves a nice little building here. And I'm not really sure yet how much silica we need. So I'll do that math real quick, like off camera. Uh-oh, this area is offended. And see how much we're going to need, how much we can get out of these, and figure out what our best solution is. And then I'll come back and give you guys kind of a plan. I keep trying to fly, but we don't have power here. And I'll give you guys a skinny on what the math works out and what the plan comes out. So I will see you guys shortly. We have a plan, and it's a little bit more grandiose than I expected, at least numerically speaking. You know, I did a little bit of math real quick, and let's actually first of all look at our options here, right? For making silica, we have the cheap silica, which we are using over at our electronics hub, where we combine limestone with quartz, and it's more limestone than quartz. The output's not amazing, but you know, it's more silica per quartz than otherwise. And then we have the regular constructor, which again, a little bit less good ratio, but it produces a lot more silica for fewer machines. And also, we don't have a large supply of limestone in the area. So let's bring up the spreadsheet one more time real quick. Here's what we're looking at. We require, if we're using 1,000 bauxite, which we're going to use, for silica, we require 1,500. That's so much silica. But with the regular recipe for constructors, right here, at 37.5 out, it only requires 40 constructors, which, you know, they're not big machines. We can fit those in pretty good, and that'll give us our 1,500 output. In the area, we have 3 normal nodes for quartz, and if we overclock 3 of them by just one shard, 1.5, that gives us the 900 silica the 900 quartz that we need. See, if we went with the alternate for the silica, we'd need a lot more. It says constructor, but it's assemblers. We would need a lot more assemblers, and we wouldn't even be able to produce 1,000 limestone in the area anyway. So that's definitely out. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to get to building ourselves a station here. I think we're going to build it on this side over here. And then we'll get our nodes established over there and nodes established over there, conveyor all of it over, and just put a building right here. That won't be too complicated. Really, it's going to be about fitting the station in here because, you know, as you just saw, we don't have a lot of space in which to fit a full-length train. So let me get to work getting the station up and running first. That's our priority because that's where we're going to draw our power. And then we will get our miners up and we will build ourselves a building for our silica. So let's get going with a time lapse. Here we go.
Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I use them all to push me to my best. So treat the worst of times just like a test. If only I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be rigid, always work towards a prime. Surround yourself with open minds, people can change your life. A few friends with intent can help you feel alive. Find a passion, take some action, and with a little time, just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life. They'll try to kick you while you're down. They wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt. They're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing. Won't bother hiding my bruises. And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless. Then it's your chance to be ruthless. They don't wanna see me make it, they don't wanna see me care. Anytime I make some progress, I can see that they compare. I think everyone's against me, maybe something in the air. Am I paranoid? I swear a void is forming and they're scared. I walk a straight path, not many can say that. I like to play fast, cross me and there's payback. You better pray that I don't see your face at any place that I go. I know.
So I'm in the middle of setting up the blocking for the signals for the station. It's still not done. And the aluminum train just decided to turn onto the track and ram straight into our personal train. I don't know why it didn't go forward. I wasn't done blocking everything, but it certainly shouldn't have seen that as a valid track to drive onto. Look at it. Okay. You've probably already seen the end of the time lapse. Let me get back to building. And there it is. That's yeah, I mean, originally we were talking about putting a building over there somewhere. But, you know, while I was starting to build, I thought, you know what? We could span it over the rail line. That would be pretty cool. And I'm really happy with it. I think it's so cool. It was even fun just watching the train go under while I was doing the build. But this is a great way of working it into the environment and into the whole build scale. And parked it just as close as I could get it, right to the edge of the rail station. As you can see, I solved the problem. I originally mentioned that the line wasn't long enough to merge back unless we did a shorter rail line, but then I realized, you know, we could just kind of go up the hill and then reconnect it. So that worked out pretty well. And that gives us a larger dead space between the merger points, so we have less chance of trains getting congested. So, yep, this is it. We're not going to have a platform set up, freight platform, until we know which car on the whatever train we end up using is going to carry the silica. So for now, we're just going to sync everything that is being produced. But let's turn it all on and let's do the quick walkthrough. I know that time is a thing. All right, so that's going to call down the quartz from over there and go across. You can see how the power is spanning across. I love the way this came out. And we'll just get those up and running. And hopefully I didn't mess anything up. That little bird's about to have a heck of a time with quartz flying at him. Oh, he can go into the window. You know, while I was building this, another one there. Oh, did you hear him? One of the chargers got into the building and just chased me all over the place. I didn't kill him. Could have, but you know, I could just hover above him. And you know, we got this nice little walkover so we can look down and watch trains go underneath. But this is it's pretty straightforward. We don't have a balance of ports coming from both sides because the math just didn't work out to do so without using extra shards to, you know, overclock and underclock. Oh, here it goes already. So what I did is I brought a little extra from this side instead of that side. And it's really simple to do, right? So we just run all these supplies through on one floor, zip it up to the floor above. And by the way, this just barely clears. And here is a smart splitter. So the overflow is going to cross the building. That way we fill up all of these, and the extra 30 per minute that is being produced on this side over the air side will make its way across, and it will just merge in and fill up on these. So this will still work out the math exactly. And there with the train. Oh, we weren't on the... we missed the opportunity to watch it go by. And the output is coming up here, and again, we're outputting too much for one belt. So they're just going from the window across to our train station. So yeah, this came out great. I love it. I'm probably going to spend plenty of time just standing here and watching trains pass underneath. As you can see, it's just tall enough for the signals to fit underneath it. So that wasn't a problem either. All right, well, I know we are out of time, so I'm going to get back on the train and head back home, and let's try to get ourselves a quick, short outro. Oh, and one more thing before we wrap it up. Something I meant to do at the beginning. We are up to 500 coupons, which we actually need a few of. Let's go ahead and grab them. We need to unlock a couple of things ahead of this Saturday's live stream, which again probably was yesterday. I don't know whether or not the plant is done, but it probably is at this point. Definitely check out the past live streams if you are interested in seeing it being built, and seeing whether or not it's done. If you were, consider joining us. Oh, here we go. We wanted this, add to cart, and we need our Mark III power poles. And I think I'm gonna finally just go ahead and grab this grip metal foundation. I've just never bothered to buy it before because I didn't feel like I really had a use for it. I'm still not sure whether or not I do, but we got coupons to spare. Let's grab some of these things. All right, excellent. Okay, so that's it for today. Next episode we will start in earnest on putting together our aluminum plant and getting the foundations and everything going, and see how much we can get done. I expect this will probably take a couple more episodes before we actually complete the factory, because I've got a pretty good vision for it being on a decently large scale and actually turning it into a nice complex. So, we're going to take our time to do it right. So be sure to come back and check it out. But that's it for today. I know we're wildly out of time. Thank you very much for coming out. Be sure to leave a like on your way out, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next episode.